Well, back with a new album, the band's fifth studio album, I think I'm right in saying. Let's begin with, you know, the mood of the band at the moment.
He's in a bad mood. He's in a particularly bad mood today.
Fuming.
He's always in a good mood. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning with my daughter, so I'm pretty spaced out as it goes.
I mean, the album's about to be, you know, released. I mean, you've obviously kind of sort of spent a lot of time on this, you know, a lot of love, a lot of effort.
It's about 3 or 4 months, really, but it's just over the space of a year, though, I think.
Yeah, we could have done it in a week.
So how, I mean, this is the first album with, you know, Gem and Andy sort of on board. I mean, how would you kind of sort of like sum up the, you know, the influence that, you know, these two guys have had on Oasis, and also the making of this album as well, Noel?
It's a lot easier to do it because in the past when we've been recording albums, you'd if for whatever reason you'd be going up the wrong path with one song and you'd turn around and ask for a second opinion on everyone, he'd usually burp and open another can of lager and Bonehead would fart and Griggs would skin up, and that would be pretty much it, and it'd be like, right, well, I suppose I better do it myself then. But now with that, you know, with Gem and Andy and that, everybody's got an opinion on stuff, so it's a lot less of my input and a lot more of everybody else's, if you know what I mean. Whereas in the past, I'd be doing everything. Really,
what about for you, Gem? I mean, sort of like silly question, but I mean, can you sort of tell me, you know, I mean, how kind of sort of like easy, you know, has it been, you know, for you and Andy sort of, you know, slotting in, you know, to what these guys do? Because obviously, you know, they've got such a history.
It seems it's the easiest record I've ever been involved with, ever. It just all, it's the songs and the voice, you know, and it just flies down really. You know.
As well, I think we do, and with this,
even the mixing, everything was all.
I mean, you've produced this album yourselves. I mean, what you know, why was the time right, you know, for that to sort of, you know, to be the situation?
We've always produced our own records. It's just that someone else always gets the credit for it, and I think that every band produces their own albums. It's just that for whoever, whether it be bands managers or their record company, would rather have somebody there who's got a proven track record of making hit records. We don't operate by them rules, you know. We've got our own studio. We haven't got any. We don't need a DJ. We don't need a remixer. You know, we don't need anybody to come in and say, well, this is the backing track, but when I finish with it, it's going to sound like this. You know, we'd rather do it ourselves anyway because it's more fulfilling for you. And then when you finally go and play them songs to like 50,000 people, then you think, well, yeah, we got it right, you know, and it's not down to anybody else. Now, we're not bothered if it sells 10 million, that'll be fantastic, you know, and I'll celebrate that for the next 2 years, you know, but if it doesn't, I'll still be as happy because we've done it on our terms. And I know for a fact that we made a great record, regardless of what other people think of it.
Well, let's talk about the songwriting if we can, because there's 4 and rising songwriters in the band now. What's been the sort of, you know, the kind of knock-on effect for you?
Every band I've been in, I've been like the songwriter. So now to end up in one where you're hearing like all these tunes come out, it's dead inspiring. Just
kind of sort of painting a picture about, you know, what you're all sort of like in the studio.
Well, how it starts is that whoever's the song that we're doing, whoever's written it, this is the way I see it anyway. This is my story, and I'm sticking to this for the next 18 months.
If we write a fucking song, you're the man. If any of us write a fucking song, Noel comes and hogs it and fucking makes it his own.
So what would happen is that if say for instance it was one of my songs, then I would sit in here and do all the bits that I had in my head, and then once it got to a point where I didn't have any more ideas, it'd be like, right, anybody else? And usually it would be Gem would go, right, well, I'm going to play this, or Liam would be like, you know, we should do it like that, and everyone would, you know, just like bring their own ideas really.
You've chosen Hindu Times as the first single. What made that one, you know, as the sort of first one out of the traps for you?
It took a long time to nail that song. It was written last.
It was hardcore trying to nail that, man.
Yeah,
it's a struggle.
It was because I think I've got at least about 5 separate versions of it that we all thought were finished, and then kept going back to it and wrote, you know, the vibe of the song when it was an instrumental was fantastic, and then we thought, well, that definitely sounds like a first single. So then decided to write a song around this instrumental, and thought I'd got it finished on a couple of occasions, and then just sort of scrapped it, went back, but I just believed in the song so much that I wasn't just going to give up on it, you know. And even the mix took a long time to get it right, and it's such a simple song, you know, but they're usually the ones that for some reason, the longer you spend writing a song, it usually ends up not being as good as like ones that take 5 minutes, but for some reason it worked on that one. I think it's because we willed it.
It's a perfect rock and roll tune, you know what I mean? There's no like,
there's no fat on it, man. It's the main mistake.
I got it.
And it's hard to get all that, you know.
It's just that you know, it starts and ends, and it's cool.
Where did the title for the Hindu Times come from, Noel?
It's a real newspaper. Yeah, and I was doing a photo shoot for the 100 greatest guitarists of all time for GQ, which I managed to blag my way onto us. And there was a stylist there, and they had a rack of clothes, and I said, well, I'm not, you know, you just wasted 2 hours of your life, love, you know, because, you know, I'll dress myself. And then, but after I'd done the photo shoot, I was waiting for something, I can't remember what it was, and I was looking through the T-shirts, and then there was a T-shirt that just said the Hindu Times, so I stole it. And when we did, because there's about some of the songs for the album started off as instrumentals, and we have to give them titles so we don't forget what they are. And instead of calling them instrumental number 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're just giving them titles, and the Hindu Times was the title for the instrumental, and it just sort of stuck, you know. There was a bit of concern over the title from the younger members of the group. They didn't quite understand it, but once it was explained to them, it was just a newspaper. They're like, "Oh, it's all right then." The
video looks as though it was looks as though you're having a ball making that. I mean, what was it fun to make?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why was it so much fun?
We just decided. We said to Wiz, we just said, look, all we're going to do is play it live to a drum loop. So, and if it's not in sync, you make it in sync, and you know, we don't. When we play live, we don't generally do too much. You know, we're not. There's no like theatrics going on, which you tend to sometimes overcompensate for when you're miming because you're not playing the instrument. You tend to, you know, give it the fucking windmill or what have you. But we said to Wiz, you know, if we look dull, you make us look exciting. And it just when we played it live about 500 times that day, and it was just, I mean, every time it got better. Whereas if we would have mimed it, we'd have been out of there by 2 in the afternoon. It'd been just boring. But it was Wiz's idea to recreate. There's the Stones film called Charlie Is My Darling, and the look of it's from that, really.
Can we talk about the album title? What's the story behind?
Well, again, I'd love there to be some really cosmic, you know, thing about, you know, the chemistry between. Yeah, well, you know, I'd love to, and I've tried a couple of times already in interviews dressing up, but I can't bullshit the interviews, and it come off a T-shirt that I bought in a second-hand shop. There was a T-shirt, I don't know what it means, but it said on it, it had a symbol of something in it, and it said the Society of Heathen Chemists. And it just, one afternoon, was just there. Someone said, what about a title? I can't remember if there was another title.
What was it about the words Heathen Chemistry that appealed to you?
Right, now this is what I've been trying to blag people over the last couple of weeks, has been saying that, you know, we all believe in something, right, but we don't practice, which is that I think that's the true description of a heathen, and the album is the sound of the chemistry between the heathens. And
what's the sleeve going to look like for the album? Is that all sort of decided and done and dusted?
We went to Paris and shot some stuff on the subway, and it's just it's an outtake of a photo session, and it's like, it's us blurred. You can't really tell who it is. You can tell who Liam and Gemma is there nearest to the camera, but it's just quite understated. We've already gone for really elaborate covers and that, and I just thought it's time that, I don't know, it's black and white. It just looks like an outtake, you know. And it's a real shot as well. The cameraman must have been jostled by somebody when he was doing it. So, but it is actually a real shot.
Interview with Liam Gallagher.
Songbird.
Yeah.
Tell us the history, the inspiration for that song.
France, really. Just having a wonderful time. No one around mithering me, you know what I mean? Just fucking went for a walk with me acoustic, sat under the tree, nice sun and that, you know what I mean? Was near no one, wasn't listening to no band, everyone was like, because it was the time when people were leaving and stuff, I was going, oh fuck it, I'm going for a walk. It was great. I started with the melody going, and then away we went. Wrote in about 10 minutes. So that was that.
Is it a case of you sort of choosing the song, or the kind of sort of like, you know, the song kind of choosing you?
Yeah, I'd say so, but I have melodies. I get melodies non-stop, like that. It's just that I don't play guitar that much. Like, I'm limited to like what chords I do and that, and I go, well, yeah, I'm quite happy with it all, you know what I mean? But like, it's like, I'm never gonna write, before we go any fucking further than that, I'm never gonna write like an album of fucking songs. I'm never gonna be a guy who goes, oh, I've wrote 40 songs. I'll probably write about 20, and I reckon that'll be me done. But there'll be 20 important ones.
Let's talk about Born on a Different Cloud as well. What would have been the inspiration for that song? Where did that come from?
Born on a Different Cloud was in France, playing a piano. Same again, I don't really play that much of it. I was playing the chords and that, and I thought, yeah, this is fucking good. And melody come, wrote the words. I don't know where it comes from, but what I tried to write was like, because I read this book and that, like Living on Borrowed Time by Frederick Seaman, which was through Lennon, and that's probably the only book I've ever read and that, like, and it was like, you know, living on borrowed time, born on a different cloud, and that was where it all come from, kind of stuff.
The album's closer is another one of your songs, as if I need to tell you. Better Man, yeah, tell us about Better Man. Better
Man. So what's it like kind of groove, more, instead of a song? Not so many words, just hitting it like, don't want to be a soldier, mama, you know, don't want to die, kind of, like kind of that. Bit of Plastic Ono, and that was it.
Do you find it easy, sort of like relating to the others about, you know, how you want your sort of songs to sound?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Because I'm not like a muse or anything. I'll just go, look, I want it to sound like that. I want it to sound like John Lennon. I want it to sound like fucking Elvis. I want it to sound like blah, blah. And that's it. I won't go in there and go, you know, like fucking, you know, I'm not scared of, you know, my influences, you know what I mean? The fuck, I wear them on my sleeve, you know what I mean? It's like, when we come down here and done the demos for it, it was going like, I've got this tune, it's like fucking Blackbird, I've got this tune, it's like fucking blah, blah, and I want to write a tune like this, I want to write it like that. And that was that, you know, so I just buzz off it, you know what I mean?
I mean, for instance, going back to sort of like, you know, Songbird, how would you have sort of, you know, presented that to the rest of the band? Can you remember?
Just acoustic, man. Just like fucking what it was, I played it and then I demoed it on like a dictaphone at my house. And then I just play it and I got a bit more confident because I'm thinking, yeah, this is really good, man. It's simple, it's not clever at all, it's just simple and it's cool. And I just play it around, you know, to people. People go, what's that? And I go, oh, it's a tune. And then I play it more if they want to hear it.
You've always been the singer. I mean, what does it kind of sort of mean to you to, you know, have this kind of sort of like talent to sort of write songs? What does that give you? Because I know what I get from music as a fan of music, but, you know, I can't, you know, sort of doing what I do or whatever, you know, talking on the radio, whatever. I mean, but what does it kind of sort of give you, being able to sort of like write a tune?
I just do it to keep myself happy. I do it to entertain myself. And if I entertain myself, then hopefully people might get entertained too.
How would you say that yours and Noel's, you know, sort of relationship with each other has evolved over the last sort of like few years? I mean, you know, the great thing always about Oasis has always been that, you know, that kind of sort of spikiness, that sort of, you know, electricity.
Yeah, that's still there, man.
Yeah.
That's still there, but not so much, you know. You know, it's like, we've grown up a bit, you know. We've got kids, you know what I mean? And like the band's more important to me than it's ever been. And being a part of a band is more important than it's ever been to me, you know what I mean? And I think the same for him. So therefore, there's no more arguing, you know what I mean? It's like, asked.
So it's not a case, when we chatted before once, you said you just had to look at each other and it could all go off. That doesn't happen.
No, it can do.
Potentially.
Yeah, it can do, you know, but I don't know, we're in a better place, I think, you know what I mean? When it was all going off for me and him, I was in not the place I wanted to be, and I don't think he was, but we were in that place, and I don't know, I just think we're in a better place.
Interview with Noel Gallagher.
Let's talk about some of the songs. Do you want to talk about what inspired the Hindu Times, sort of lyrically? I mean, we talked about the title Next Door.
When we laid down the instrumental for the Hindu Times, we went away on tour with the Black Crows, and I think his Gem come up with the one line. He said, it's like your favourite Oasis song ever, because we were listening to it like constantly and I didn't have any lyrics for it, and he was going, fucking hell man, it's just like the best Oasis song ever. He said, it sounds like classic Oasis. And I was like sitting down thinking, right, well, I'm going to try and now sort of rip myself off, and what is it that makes Oasis such a... And I was going, so what do you mean by that? And he was going, you know, it's just a fucking, you know, it's just an up song. And I was like, So I just decided to write a song that was just the most optimistic that I could fucking get out of myself. And it was all like, I get up when I'm down, I can't swim, but so on. And it's all about just universal truths, I think. You're my sunshine, you're my rain. You know, there's a light and it shines on me and it keeps me. It's sort of, I went with it being like the word Hindu in the title as well. It's got a bit of spiritual and stuff like that. But it was Gem that unwittingly hatched the concept for the song, which is like, it's got to be like the best Oasis song ever. And that was that, really.
Force of Nature. Now, this is an old song that was used for a film, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Force of Nature come about when we were doing Standing on the Shoulder Giants out in France. Jude Law asked us to do a song for a film that he was in called Love, Honour and Obey with Ray Winston and Johnny Lee Miller and Sean Pertwee and all that lot. And so I went out a week early with the engineers and stuff to set up, because we had this big old chateau and we were setting it up as a recording studio. So what I thought, well, while I'm out there, I'll record a demo for the use in this film. And anyway, it came out so good that we just sent them the demo. And then everyone was saying, well, you know, is it going to go on Stand on the Shoulder Giants? And at one point, because I wrote that song and Little by Little for the film, they were supposed to both be for the film, but we only gave them one in the end. We decided not to use it for Standing on the Shoulder Giants because Bonehead was leaving, and we thought, well, let's keep some songs back for when we come back anyway. So we purposely kept Force of Nature back. It's a shame because that was going to be the first single, but we had a couple of days in here with Liam and it's just out of his range. It's at the very, very top of mine, and I can just about hit the notes live as well. So
Stop Crying Your Heart Out.
Well, the day that we started recording the album here, we were all upstairs, and I'll get to the title, don't worry about it.
Wait, he's keeping us waiting. He's teasing us.
We were all upstairs, and Stan was down there setting up a drum sound or something, and we were watching something on the telly, I can't remember what it was, and I'd just written the melody and the tune about 2 or 3 nights before. And as it is when you get into the studio with us lot, it's like, wow, I'm going to fucking blow everybody away here. And everyone was like, so what song are we starting with first? And I went, yeah, we'll just fucking listen to this, man. I didn't have any words, and I just sat down and I just hummed it, you know, like, and there was silence after I'd finished, and everyone was like, have you just written that? I was like, I wrote it last night. So we done a quick little demo, made up some lyrics on the spot, and then, you know, it's a conversation between a parent and a child, or should I say it, between a child and a parent is what it is. And I didn't want it to be the second single, because I think that we always fall into the trap of, oh, let's get a big ballad out, you know, fucking shift some units. I wanted Force of Nature to be the second single. What? I got sat down and talked around by the management who said, look, you know, what are you pissing about for? You know, put out your fucking best songs first. That's the way to do it. And I was like, yeah, well, all right. But as long as Force of Nature is going to be a single. But that as well was one of the most instant songs. As soon as people heard it, they just sort of looked at each other and were nodding, you know. It was like, yeah, that's one of them. I think, hopefully anyway, hopefully that will bring the album into millions of people's front rooms, as opposed to, you know, because the last album was so purely on a fan base level. I mean, there wasn't many what you call, you know, like big hit singles. Like Go Let It Out was a bit of a hit all over the world, really, but that was about it. Hopefully this will do the same as Wonderwall done for the last one. You know, people will hear that, buy the album, and then subsequently, you know, go out and tell their friends about it. It's the crossover track, as they call them.
Okay, Little by Little.
Little by Little, just really, you know, pretty much the same as Force of Nature. Really, it was written for the film. Too good to give to the film. Sort of, you know, kept it back. It's the most difficult one to mix on the record. That's the one that's been holding it up, really. Again, it was one we wanted Liam to sing, but for whatever reason, didn't feel right with him singing it. So we just used my demo vocal and a lot of the demo guitars, redone the drums in here. And then couldn't really work out why it wasn't really exploding in the choruses. And then we were like, right, well, let's ditch everything that we've put on it since the demo. And we just went back to all the stuff from the demo. as it is, it's just a demo, really, with Alan playing drums on top of it.
Probably all in the mind?
Me and Andy Bell, we were up here. What were we doing? I'll tell you what we was doing. We was doing a session for Paul Weller, playing bass and drums on one of his tracks of his new album called 1x1. And he shot off because he said it was about 2 PM. He said, "What are you doing for the rest of the day?" And was like, "Nothing." As I said, I'm not even going to get into fucking recording a new song with him being around, you know what I mean? Because it'll get past the first chord and he'll go, "It's fucking rubbish, you're not going to record that, are you?" So he shut off, and I said to Andy, "Yeah, stick around, man, and play some guitar. I've got this tune called All in the Mind," it was called then. And again, we've done it in about an hour. We've done the demo in about an hour and a half. And the way the title came back, he said, "What's it going to be called?" And I said, "It's going to be probably All in the Mind." And he went, "Probably All in the Mind." And I went, "Well, no, it's actually going to be called All in the Mind, but probably All in the Mind sounds better." So you'll put probably in the brackets. But
How would you sort of say, looking back over, the sort of like 5 albums, how would you sort of say, Noel, that, you feel that your sort of songwriting has sort of evolved?
Well, it comes and goes with me, and I have to say that round about the time of BA Now, I was seriously taking it for granted, I went away, with a notebook and a guitar. I cut the plectrums and I went away for a month, and I was going to write, I thought, well, I'll write BA Now in 2 weeks, Somebody should have, fucking tapped me on the shoulder and said, "What are you doing?" But the way that it works now is I used to write a lot of songs and just record them all. And of course, in the early days, they were all fantastic. I think I remember having a spate of writing 12 songs in a row, and they were all defined as classics. Not by me, but it was the last 4 songs on Definitely Maybe and the first 6 on fucking Morning Glory or something, and they were all fantastic, And I was like, I was on fire then, And of course it's all new, and it's like, I'm getting into being a writer. As all the novelty wears off, it becomes a job, Oh, I've got to go and write a fucking album, But I've got it back, I've got my enthusiasm back for writing songs. So what I'll do now is I still write a lot of songs, and I still finish them off, and then I just go, and then sit, right, is that as good as like the worst song that we've ever, so I would go through, it's not even as good, we roll with it, right, well, it's not even a B-side, you know what I mean? So the process of elimination now is more, well, it's greater, the reason I only wrote 7 songs for this album was because, I wrote about 17, but the other 10 were like, there's no even point in even trying. And that in a way takes the pressure off, because it means that we don't need a lot of songs now, because we're just, Gem and Andy are just chipping in, and Liam's got 3, so it's like, that's what makes the album what it is, I think. The 7 songs that I've written are 7 of my best songs. The 3 that Liam's written are 3 of his best songs. When we said to Gem, you can write something for the album, play as your best song. That's his best song. Same with Andy, so it's everybody's best,
What about your lyric writing as well? What sort of, looking at, your songs on the album as well, any kind of sort of particular sort of lines that, you're particularly proud of, and if so, why?
All of She Is Love, because it's no secret, it's about Sarah, my girlfriend. I got up one Sunday morning, sun was shining, and it was just, and actually I'd been listening to Sweet Pea by Paul Weller off Heliocentric, and I thought, I'm going to write a love song about somebody I'm in love with. I'm going to actually go and do it, because I hate using the word love, and I hate all that shit. And I thought, well, fuck it, I'm not 24, I'm 35 now, you know what I mean? I'll probably get away with it now, And I just sat, and it literally fucking come out in about 10 minutes. And I wasn't scared of the last line. Now I know that I'm in love. All I know is I'm in love with someone who loves me too. Like 3 or 4 years ago, I'd have been, I wouldn't have sang that to Liam. She'd have gone like, "You fucking knob jockey, what are you on about? Fucking lucky." But now it's like, well, fuck off. I've broken the 30, I'm 35 now. I can do what I fucking want. I can do what I want. Can wear chunky sweaters and have fucking golden retrievers around at my house, and they can't touch me for it, because I'm officially middle-aged.
Interview with Gem.
Before we talk about the song itself, Gem, can you sort of recreate that moment when you presented the song to the rest of the fellas?
Hung in a Bad Place came about because me, Noel and Andy B were in there with Noel on drums, and we were just having an afternoon of it, really. And he went, "You got any songs?" And we were just chucking stuff around. And I think I must have played, like 3 of them or something. And I was singing, just having a right old, you know, I was at Madison Square Gardens in my head, man. And he went, "Right, yeah, that's the one, we'll do that one." That was, just, from then on in, it was like, right, okay. Played it to Liam in here, on the acoustic. We had a right laugh at a few of the words. And then that was it, really. We just sort of dug into it, you know. And I'm very, more than chuffed a bit with the result, man, you know.
What about Noel's songwriting on this album as well? I mean, how would you sort of say, you know, how's that kind of sort of like moved on, do you think?
We had a kind of, I think, a mental list or whatever of what we thought we were going to start and what we were going to do. And in a way, we ended up doing like maybe a whole different list. And I remember Stop Crying Your Heart Out, we were upstairs, I think it was the first week, and we were just messing around. And I've got this tune, and me and you were going to sing it, it's just to Liam. And he just played it, and I knew then, I just thought, we're all right here. Completely, you know. And it's ended up as good as what I hoped it would have, you know, because it can change a lot from gestation to fruition.
I mean, you've been, you know, in the band, what is it, 2-3 years now?
Yeah, about 2.5 years, I think, yeah.
I mean, how would you sort of say, Gem, that, you know, that their, Noel and Liam's sort of like relationship with each other has kind of sort of evolved in that time as well? Because it seems to have sort of moved ahead, doesn't it? Also?
Now that I'm thinking about it, which is, they seem a lot less tense, really. But I think, and not knowing it, but when me and Andy came into the frame, there was a lot of tenseness, I think, in a way. It's hard for me to say because I didn't know what it was like before, but from what I've spoken to people about what they knew, how it was, and you know, and at the minute, and I always say this to people, at the minute, if it's going to be a mega year, if everybody's, you know, having an untense time.
But you never know with them, do you? But that's, but that's the sort of like, you know, the kind of, gives it that edge.
Well, it is, you know, but I mean, people say, it's never plain sailing anyway, no matter how intense it is or whatever, because everybody's got, you know, this far in their lives by thinking what they think, you know. So people are going to, no, I believe in this, you know, and this is that, you know. But also as well, you know, we've just finished the record that we're happy with. So it's like, you know, and like Noel was saying earlier, it's like, you're kind of gagging to get on with the next one, really, because it is fun. It's like proper, amazes me, you know, how, because, you know, not a lot of bands have this much fun.